Hi, it's Kathy Hampton here from Wellside Retreats. I hope you are joining me now. I've had to change the time for this live video. It started out at 3, then moved to 2, and now 12:30. I've had some changes happen just within a couple of days with some business that I'm working on. But if you are able to be here, I thank you for meeting up with me, and you're able to take part in this last live video for this year. I don't haven't done many, excuse me, but this is one that I wanted to really share with you because it was meaningful to me for this year. So, first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Kathy Hampton from Wellside Retreats, and Wellside Retreats is a retreat transformational destination retreat and life coaching service for Black women 50 and over. And I help women move away from what no longer serves them and move them toward what will serve them well. And I do that with retreats that I coordinate, cultivate. Hi, Edith Baker. Thanks for joining me. Um, and I also have really started encouraging people to practice journaling as one of the practices or tools for wellness. This coming year, I'll be introducing uh, other practices of meditation, yoga, easy yoga, what I call easy yoga or chair yoga, as well as some other forms of yoga that will really help people in their wellness, to get well, to be well, stay well, and that's with body, mind, and spirit. And if this is the first time that you are seeing me on any of the videos, haven't seen me at all, you just by chance scroll through all of the YouTube videos, and are seeing me now, I appreciate you for stopping, taking the time, and would like to encourage you to like, share, ring the notification bell, and subscribe to my channel. I talk about wellness for women who are uh, 50 and over primarily, and Black women in particular, because we, as Black women, sometimes don't get the resources that um, we should be aware of, made aware of, and I intend on providing those resources for you and to encourage you to take time for yourself, and that being by retreating. And retreating is many forms, and I will tell you about some of those in this video, but in other videos as well. Today, I'm talking about the sabbatical that I took this year, January, February, and March of 2023. And first of all, I quit my job in 2021 as part of the Great Resignation. I did that in September of 2021. And I had, prior to that quitting, taken a long vacation, was scouting out and kind of bopping around Mexico for about 3 weeks. And I was inspired to go even further by starting to plan a sabbatical. And it was something that was on my to do list for many years. But, when things start to align and you see that there's an opening to do what you want to do, that you've been dreaming of, those dreams, desires, those come to you. And I decided to take time off. I took 3 months. I wanted to take 6 months, but 3 months was fine. And I did that Initially, I had wanted to go uh, to Morocco in 2020. Um, and of course, we know what happened with that. And so I thought of another place to go, and that was Portugal. And I had heard lots of things about Portugal. And, you know, a cousin of mine sent me some pictures of his visit to Portugal. And I thought, maybe I'll put that on my bucket list of places to go. And then there was quite a buzz about Portugal um, most recently. And I decided that that was the place I was going to go. Portugal was known in some of the retirement, preparing for retirement magazines a number of years ago as having a really good health system. And so, hi, Miss Kelly, how are you? Thanks for joining me today, even though I've had to change this schedule. But Portugal was a place that was known for its healthcare, and also known for the golden visa for those retirees. Since I had seen those, though, the visa process has changed because of many reasons. That has to do with the popularity of Portugal. Besides all of that, I decided to go to Portugal for the 3 months. So I started making the plans. And if you saw the trailer to this live video, you know that I went to Portugal for 3 months, January through March of 2022. And I roamed around, bopped around in Portugal. I started out in Sintra, which is not that far from Lisbon. And Sintra is a really is a tourist location, but there's, people live there. There is it's residential. And I lived for a few weeks, probably about three and a half, four, almost 4 weeks in January to February. And I got there, and all I wanted to do was rest. And this is the important part of a sabbatical. It is for rest. Side note, I'm going to tell a few stories in between here about sabbaticals. You know, I grew up with a mother who was a school teacher. And most recently, I've been working with and around teachers lately. And teachers have been some of the hardest caregivers to young people, to middle school age people, high school students, and they are drained. Recently, with the pandemic, these women and men have been some of the hardest hit with lots of stress, having to teach remotely or go into the schools during COVID. So if you know a teacher somewhere, she's either needing some time off or she is looking for another job. My mother was a teacher back in for the longest. I'm 50. She's 59 actually and a half. And my mother is 83 right now, but she taught for over 27 years, 30 years before she couldn't teach any longer. And she took a sabbatical when I was a freshman in college. She decided that she needed time off, and she took a sabbatical. And so that was my preview to what a sabbatical is, what it was for her. And she took a year off and went back to Texas. So it was in California, San Francisco, California, teaching. She went back to Texas, to her old home. It was empty. And she and my youngest sister were there for a year, just for her to have time after many life changes in her life. She decided that she needed a break. She needed to rest. She needed to rejuvenate herself. And if you are in need of a break, If you believe that you need some downtime, if you need to reflect or you just feel rested for some time, I'm encouraging you to take a sabbatical. When my mother decided to do that, she had already sold her house and moved packed up everything and moved to Texas, put things in storage in California. Um, and it was a time for her to decide what she wanted to do next. Well, my sabbatical for the 3 months, I was going to have to leave a foreign country, but I decided I wanted to travel because I had not traveled very much in my life. And because you can do a sabbatical any way you want, you can go stay at home. You can stay at home. You don't have to travel. You can take a break from whatever you want to do and do what you want to do. You could, take up a hobby. But I believe that a sabbatical is a time to just be still if you can, or get some rest, or explore. And so my sabbatical was a combination of that. I started, as I said, in Sintra, and I had planned where I wanted to go. It took me probably about, I don't know, about 6 months to make the plan. If no, it was a little longer. It was about 9 months. Um, I saved money before going and paid for my accommodations in advance. Um, I decided where I was going to go. I took a Portuguese language course just to familiarize myself with the sound of the language, with some, pleasantries, with some common phrases that I knew I was going to need. And I decided that this was going to be the place where I did three things, and that was to rest, reflect, and to explore, and to explore where I would love to travel to. Say if I decided that Portugal was going to be the place that I used as a base to live for a number of years. And so that was what I did when I got there. I bopped around to Sintra, Lisbon. I ended up my last month in Porto, but I went to Coimbra, which is a university town, and it's very hilly in mountains. I went to Braga, which is further north, and that is a smaller town. And I realized there that they didn't speak as much English as some of the more concentrated, more city like areas. I went to a place right on the water, the Atlantic, called Espino, and it's a small town, relatively flat, and it is a beach town. It's a water town, and it's very slow paced, and it has a casino there. There are lots of places that had regular malls were not as weren't old, were had been developed. But then there's countryside. I took a train from when I left Lisbon into Porto. The train ride was magnificent, and that's about a 2-hour ride. It seems quicker, but Portugal is so small that you can do these things within a day, go and come within a day, and the the train ride was magnificent. And so when I was able to see as much as I was able to see, I decided that, you know what, this just might be the place that I could make a base for myself to live, to relocate, to live, and then travel like I wanted to travel. I'm 59 and a half, and I celebrated my 59 and a half birthday recently. My birthday will be June 16th, and I celebrated on December 15th because you never know what the next day, week, month will bring you. So I decided that I was going to start celebrating early before my 60th birthday because every day is important. And the sabbatical really made me reflect on when you have the time to do the things that you want to do and you have desires to do, that you live right there in that moment. And it's so important, I believe, to just and I was that statement was confirmed to me. Excuse me. I hope I don't have a coughing fit. Excuse me. Okay. I want to try again. It's really dry air. And then when you're coughing and talking. All right. So the if you can hear me, let me know if it's okay, if you can hear me. So what I was saying is that each day is so important for you to find whatever peace you can find each day. Each day, live in the now. Had I not been able to do this sabbatical, I would have kept on working and bypassed what I had wanted to do for so many years. I don't know if you are watching me from and are familiar with the Exodus Summit movement. I believe I've seen some of your names in that group. But if you aren't familiar with this group of women, Black women, who are taking control of their lives and taking time for themselves, this is unbelievable. If you guys can just let's meditate for a moment with me. Oh boy. All right. Oh boy. All right. Okay. I think I'm getting better. But this movement of women has inspired me so much to move forward. There are women who can make a plan, who are able to get up and go and move around the world. And I applaud them. I wasn't able to do that. You may not be able to do that. But what I want to encourage you to do is to make plans that give you a peace of mind for each day into the next day. It doesn't have to be a sabbatical. It could be a small walk around the block. It could be a time where you Take yourself somewhere that is peaceful, a massage, a spa, a hotel for a weekend, but just to get away. Retreating, in the nature of my business, to retreat is to basically take time away from the norm so that you can really um, become self aware of how much time you spend giving to others, caring for others, and not necessarily caring for yourself. I found that when I got to on my sabbatical, I rested, I went out, took long walks, and then when I felt good enough, rested enough, I decided I was going to go and meet people. I had become a part or a Facebook member to some expat groups. And so I started reaching out to others to, to meet up. I was part of a mastermind group where one of the women decided she was going to come and meet me. I met women who were part of the Exodus Summit. And then I met um, other people who were from Portugal just because I was curious enough to get out and meet people. It expanded my horizon, expanded my world by meeting other people. Now, if you're not into, meeting other people, but, you like your time to yourself, that's fine. Or if there are fears of traveling alone, you don't have to do that. There are people out in the world who you can meet up with. I met up with someone who was actually very shy and very guarded, very private. But we met up. She was wonderful in telling me where to go and find things that I might need in Lisbon in particular. So this adventure doesn't have to be, scary. It doesn't have to be involving uh, lots of people. It can be taken with other people if you want, but finding where you can make a change in your life if you need some time to yourself is so valuable. And um, uh, Joanne, please say the name of the group today. I switched my laptop and missed some of what you said. Oh, sure. Exodus Summit is the name of the group that I am a part of. It's a community of Black women. And we, Exodus, and it's EXODUS Summit. I'll write that in the comments. And I became a part of this group. I don't know, 2019, 20. Well, it wasn't a group. It was individuals before it became a group. The two leaders worked separately, but um, these women travel. Most of the women are either trying to take a sabbatical or take time off, but others are leaving the country um, and traveling, taking, relocating, getting visas in other countries to get out of the climate of the United States, so to speak. There is a climate. There's a storm. There's storms brewing all the time here in this country, and so what I really wanted to share in this in this video, this live video, is the fact that making a plan ahead of time is fine. If you don't need a plan to take a sabbatical, take it. Do make a change for yourself, because what I realized is time has never really been on my side. Or we always say I need to find time. Well, time really isn't hiding. We just haven't taken time. We haven't done what we wanted to do because of something else. We haven't owned it, taken it, stolen time to do the things that are important to ourselves. Or life happens and it's either forgotten or ignored, or you're pining to do it, but you can't do it because of something else. And usually at this age, in the 50s, you if you are single, that's great, and you're dedicating yourself to work. Sometimes you're on that hamster wheel and you don't steal the time for yourself. If you are a parent, a child of parents, and you're in this, sandwich generation, like many of us who are 50 and older, sometimes even 40 and older, then you are balancing. When can I do this? Do I do it after junior, graduates from high school and goes into college? Or do I need to wait until junior is finished with college? And oh, what about mom and dad? What do I, how can I help them if they aren't able to care for themselves or don't have arrangements for their care? Or there's always something. I'm here to tell you that I'm fortunate to have both of my parents alive. They are older, not as mobile as they used to be, but they are fine and they're going to be fine. I found a window of time because I have adult children who are getting more adult. And our generation kind of were helicopter parents, where we hovered over this group of people. And it's time for me now. It's time for us. If you were 59 and a half going into 60, it's time to take that sabbatical, time to take that leave. It's time to see if your employer has all of the equipment to give you that sabbatical. um, and you have to go through those manuals to find out if that's their policy. A lot of that was not the policy of the firm that I worked for prior to quitting my job. There was no such a thing. The leave that they was given to you had to accumulate, and then you had to take it. But in my case, a lot of times I took my leave for children's events over the years. I didn't save up for, or you couldn't save up for 4 weeks or for 6 weeks. In the government, you could do certain things, but I was working for corporations who basically owned my time. They told me what I could do with it. And when I realized that during the pandemic that they wanted me to come back into the office, that's when I decided I had to quit. And quitting was I was prepared for quitting. Um, I don't encourage people to quit unless they feel comfortable, and not running away from anything, from money on the table. But I was able to do that, and it's been a year and 6 months since I quit. I resigned from working, and now work for myself. But before, in the middle of doing that, that's when I took the sabbatical during the first full year for those 3 months. And when I came back, I shared Portugal with people, but people have a lot of questions about uh, about Portugal itself. And this is another reason I decided to do this live video. My I am actually, because I enjoyed Portugal so much, I'm in the process of applying for temporary residency, and that is I'm just starting the process. And what I'll share with you that I liked about Portugal is that the climate I found very pleasing. In January, it was warm. They say it was unusually warm when I was there in January of this year. It was unusually warm. This year, around this time, or at this time, there it's cooler and it's rainy, and that is most common. But in the south part of Portugal, in what they call the Algarve, there are different towns within the Algarve that make up this lower region. It's closer to Africa. It's warmer, but at times, this time of year, it's not as busy. It's very touristy. The residents live in a drier climate. Um, and near the water, there are lots of resorts, and people do live there, but it's a really resort-like place with golf courses, and it's got lots of boating and attractions, water attractions, surfing, that type of thing. So um, that as you move your way up, um, because Portugal is right next to Spain, if you were to look at the map, you can go in and out of Spain easily. You can actually, from the lower part, get to Africa quickly. You can fly over to Cape Verde, and get to experience that between Africa and Portugal. Um, it's a great place if you want to travel, and use it as the base, which I plan on doing, to travel through Europe and Africa. So I've decided that it is a great fit for me. I've been asked why. Well, it all for me was a feeling. It's pretty, but the people are very mild mannered, very hospitable. They're quiet. Um, they they were very helpful to me. Um, but when I say that, when I was, went into stores and couldn't speak a lot of Portuguese, they were patient enough to help me with the Portuguese. They allowed me to use my app for interpreting the language and translating the language. Um, they do respect their elders, which is apparent when you see them on the street. They help older people carry their groceries to their door or up hills. They allow them to get on public transportation before anyone else does. So you look around and you say, who's the old, who looks like a senior, who looks like an elder? Let's let them get on the bus first. I really got a kick out of that. Another thing I thought was really interesting about Portugal is that they have Sunday, they may go to mass, but they also have a family day. It's family day. People are out no matter where you are. It could be out in your neighborhood. You're out at dinner. You're doing the brunch. You're going to a museum. Family day is on Sundays. I thought that was I thought that was sweet. I thought that was very wholesome. Um, uh, it's beautiful. The sites of old buildings, the architecture was inspiring to me. They have lots of museums, lots of churches, lots of churches. Catholicism is the religion there. Not to say that there aren't any others there, but that is one of them. It's easy to get around in. It is listed as the it was fourth on one list, and someone recently told me, in fact, a banker told me most recently that it is the third most peaceful country in the world. So, if anything, that gave me indication that this would be a good place to live, um, or to try out as a temporary resident. It is. It has been a place that um, where I see a certain style of living, a certain ease of living there, um, that I appreciate. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm really new at travel. I'm not and I say this, and when I say that, I say international travel. There are plenty of people who've traveled more than I have and seen, the world. I haven't. I was born in Germany, but came back to the United States when I was 2 years old because my father was in the military. I traveled mostly domestically as we were, we changed from from post to post in the military. From the East Coast, from the South to the Midwest, uh, you know, to the West. I was there moving around in the United States. so so I can't compare any other place. My 3 week trip uh, to Mexico, I experienced Mexico City. I also went to Oaxaca, and I really liked both places. Um, Mexico City was very big to me. I like cities, but this is a world class, beautiful city, and I felt that maybe it wouldn't have been offered me the quietness that I wanted, but maybe it would have. I don't know. The food was tremendous there, of course. Oaxaca was, I actually loved Oaxaca because I was thinking of, maybe I could live in the country parts of Oaxaca. It's very quiet and it's known to be very peaceful, and people feel kind of some spiritual vibes there. Um, and so when I went to Portugal, and I was there and did what I did, rest, toured, took adventures, um, rested again. It was just the feeling, and I really people like Lisbon. I do too, but I Porto called me, and I believe it has to do with its size. It also is a quiet place, but it I don't know, just spoke to me, and that's where I will probably, well, not probably, I will land um, when it's time for me to leave the United States and go there for my temporary residency. So um, I want to stop and say, if when this is recorded, for anyone who is watching the replay, to leave any comments. And I'm happy, I can see the comments. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, please do so. I will happily talk to you about Portugal or sabbatical life. And uh, I really wish I was still on sabbatical. I know people who take a year off or more and travel around or do whatever they want to do. I want to encourage you to think about that, about sabbatical life, and what would you do? What would you do if you were taking a sabbatical? Um, I Through this group of people that I have spent over a year getting to know through the Exodus Summit. There are people in Mexico. Do you plan to host friends in Portugal? Yes, I do plan on hosting friends in Portugal. I've actually had a couple friends already ask me to have a bed ready for them. I actually plan on hosting some retreats in Portugal once I get there. I do have a friend, a colleague, actually, who may be holding a retreat in Portugal in 2023. Um, I believe it'll be in the fall, but I can't speak to it so much because the plans aren't finalized. Karen asked, "Have you started your Portugal visa process?" I I have started sending paperwork because I'm using a relocation person. I'm not doing it myself. They've changed some of the visa requirements for Portugal, and what I've read is that the golden visa that used to be so great, and the golden visa is when you reach retirement age and decided to use some of your retirement to invest in property there, that basically purchasing a piece of property basically gave you the visa because you were there, or you invested in a business there. Um, they still have that option, but it's not. I think they have limits to where you can purchase that property and where you can open the business. But I am in the process of sending paperwork needed for me to get the D7 visa. And the D7 right now has gone through also some changes because it's of its popularity. They wanted you to have a passive income there, and that could be anything from rental income for if you owned a home and rented it out, and that could be your passive income. Or if you're retiring early, the passive income could be your retirement funds. If you have that available to you, or some funds that could be passive and you took it out every month for living expenses. When you're retired, they know that you could either get Social Security or some type of pension or whatever, and that becomes your passive income. Most recently, the the actual I guess digital nomad visa has become very popular because a lot of people are working remotely there. And so they want to see if you have contracts that you're working on for your income, because you don't want to go there and try to find work to support you, because their cost of living is different, and the salaries there are lower than what you might want to, you what you're accustomed to making. And you're not going to get what we make there in Portugal. Edith says, "I'm leaving for Lisbon on January 21st for 7 days." Great, great, great. I'm nervous on this. Is my first solo international trip. Any advice for a first timer? Okay, yes, Edith. Um, I'm going to say be a little nervous, be a little scared, because that means because anything that you are nervous about, it's usually because it's something different. Um, but don't be afraid. There are people there who are going to, who are going to guide you to where you need to go. It is a hospitality country, actually, a tourist country, and they're going to help you out. Um, I'm glad that you're going at this time of the year. Actually, it won't be as crowded. Um, the transportation in Lisbon is wonderful. Get a pass, and it will take you. You can get a pass to go to all the sights or the sounds. I don't know what you plan on doing, but you can get a pass that gives you transportation and entrance into the museums there, and it's just one pass you carry around with you, and you can get that at the train stations that they have there in Lisbon. Um, um, Also, as a first solo international traveler, uh, just know that you want to take any precautions that you would take here in the United States. Um, any, making sure that your family knows where you are, that keep any, make a copy of your passport. Don't necessarily carry your passport on you. Some people feel differently than I do on that. I was told to that was a suggestion made to me, um, and so I carried my I made copies of everything, and carried the copies with me, like my medical cards or or something like that. Um, you want to get um, I don't, people feel differently about phone service. I kept my AT&T account. I didn't change out my SIM card because I wanted to have my data and everything with me. So with AT&T, they charge, I think it's like $10 every time you up to 10 days um, of additional to your account. And I just kept that. I built that into my expenses. Some people go and change out their SIM card to do that. I didn't want to do that. I felt it would be inconvenient to me because I like all the apps that I use on my phone, and I'd have to redo something. um, um, Also, if you've gone to dinner by yourself before in the United States or gone grocery shopping to in new areas that you weren't familiar with, that's the feeling that you get when you go internationally. If you're not afraid to ask people questions, you're going to be fine. If you're hesitant, you're going to have to build up some courage to do that. If you're a curious person, you won't be affected by that. I believe that people are most friendly and helpful and kind more so than they are not. So those are the things that I would tell you to keep in mind, and just relax as much as you can. Um, it's it's a it's a really good feeling to me to to want to know of how other people live, and how things look in different places, how things work in different places. So I hope that you can take all of that curiosity with you. And I mean, I was nervous too. I was nervous because I didn't know where I was going when I got an Uber from the airport and it was at night. I didn't know where I was going, but the Uber driver was just as kind. He didn't speak English, and he took me exactly where I was supposed to go. They do have Uber, and it's cheaper than the United States. He helped me with my luggage. Um, but he was picking up a passenger just like he would pick up somebody who is Portuguese. So I just hope that you can calm yourself when traveling. Yeah, those were those were those were the things I would say. Um, hey, Katrina Lilly. Katrina Lilly is someone who was very helpful to me when I arrived in Portugal. Um, Currency, debit card, credit cards. Okay, yes. So I'm gonna. I have several accounts. One of them is the USAA account. It is a usually given to federal, people in the military, and they don't charge fees when you take out, or they charge you a fee when you take out money from the bank, but they reimburse you for any fees internationally or international fees. The accounts that are really good to have are with Charles Schwab, where you aren't charged any fees, as well as Capital One. You can take those and not be charged anything. The currency is the euro in Portugal. It is European country, and the euro is the currency. Credit cards, um, usually credit cards, you can purchase things with the credit card in any stores. Um, yeah, some places may not take the a credit card like an American Express or something like that. If you have cards and you want to get points, most of the time, you can do that. I kept my USAA card that I and could use the um, the bank cash machine there to get euros out. But I also and I didn't run into any place that would take US dollar. No. So they're taking the euro. And you can easily check the exchange rate there. Um, and right now, I think it's a good rate. I haven't checked it lately because I haven't been using it. So that's it. That's okay, Katrina Lilly is saying if you visit Lisbon, yeah, do the hop on, hop off tour. And that's with that card that I was telling you about. If you want to see, if you can load it up, and I think you have 72 hours to use it. Is that correct, Katrina? Um, yeah. So, yeah, Katrina, if you could tell me if that is correct, that'd be great. So, are there any other questions? I really appreciate your questions. Do a meetup. Okay, Grace. Yeah, a meetup would be great. So, um, there's a woman who I know who's moving to Porto in January. Oh yeah, into January. And she's already having like a housewarming, and she's calling it a meetup. So I will try to follow suit and do a meetup myself. Um, yeah, I would love to do that. But I before doing a meetup, I'm thinking of doing one here in the United States before I have one in uh, in Portugal. I have to get my feet wet there. I may actually go ahead and do that, but I'll keep you posted, Grace. I'll keep you posted. Um, Meetups are a lot easier to actually do, I believe, than a full retreat. But I do know that I would like to do a retreat there. Um, a wellness retreat there. There are some great locations for a Portuguese inspired retreat. So um, I want to encourage you, as I said before, to really think about being taking time off. It's like it's a freedom that I feel, that now that I've quit my job and I'm working for myself. I'm not going to say that it's been easy, but because I'm reinventing myself after over 30 years of working doing the same thing. Um, and I really, after probably the age of, I'm going to say 35, after 35, the working world was not kind to me. And I say that because of, um, uh, it has to do with competitiveness. It had to do with being a Black woman, I believe, a Black woman who had, um, you know, had skill set that other people were intimidated by, including, superiors. Um, I When I first started out in the role that I have done, it was I was mentored by someone who saw, that my skill set of being a lawyer, but also being a librarian or information professional, how I could climb that corporate ladder. Well, he was one who believed in me, and a white male who believed in me, but he was, an exception to the rule. I believe that it 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 was always difficult for me in corporate settings, um, to either be seen. I was marginalized, and I thought that, it was a figment of my imagination. But you know, I know differently now that, lots of women have experienced this same thing. A lot of Black women have experienced what I have experienced. I'm not an exception. I'm not exceptional to that. And when I quit working for someone else, it was like something just came over me. It was like a freedom. It was a breath of fresh air, and um, it was the same feeling that I got from not working for 3 months. It was a breath of fresh air. um, because that was planned. The sabbatical was planned, and it was something that I worked on to get to. I was able to afford that, but I had to go back to work, and I did so for myself. So I'm working as an independent contractor, freelancer now, and I still feel that sense of freedom. That was scary. That was something that was scary, and I was nervous about. But I'm doing well. I've been doing this now, it'll for a year, over a year and a half, and sustain myself. I'm able to pay my bills, save money, people, and realize that other people do this too. This is just new to me. I never thought that I could do it. And believe it or not, this was something that I wrote about in my journals, that I wanted to be a freelancer. I wanted freedom from corporate work. And I have found it. When I say corporate work, working directly with with an office, with a company. I work for myself and still am able to share the skill set that I have in my day-to-day work. But the exception is I tell them when I want to work and when I don't want to work. And that makes the difference. I'm in control. Um, okay, Katrina says you can purchase those tickets to hop on, hop off for 24 hours or more. Those tickets are valid for 24 hours or more. So you can do that. And I suggest it. I did not find out about that until almost the end of that that uh, stint in Lisbon. In Porto, however, I went to several museums um, that were affiliated where you can go and buy tickets for, say, all of them, and the ticket is still good. It's still good until the end of this year. I'm not going to be able to take advantage of it, but if you aren't able to go, when you're there, come back within the year and still go. Um, the subway, the buses are clean. You do have to, get your ticket, and you can get a ticket also from. I got my subway ticket in Lisbon, or bus pass, from like the corner store, and they loaded it up for me, and I would, have several rides, and then I'd load it up again. And I decided, when I was there during my sabbatical, that I wanted to live in neighborhoods so that I could see how people lived. That's how I am. Some other people may find, that they like a hostel, or they like an Airbnb that is, more luxurious and, looks like a hotel. I lived in apartments, loft apartment. I lived in one for a month that had a balcony that I could see. Oh, I forget the bridge. But I could see the river, the river, and and in Porto, I lived in what they called a guest house. It was I found it on Airbnb, but the owner of the house was also a massage therapist and offered massage and yoga. So every week I had a massage for $25 or 25 euros, and I handsomely tipped her. so so there's all kinds of things that you can do when you're traveling. You get to pick. You can stay at a hotel. You can stay at Airbnbs. I'm very picky with my Airbnbs. I have to see the picture of the outside, be so I could tell what the neighborhood might look like, and then I do a Google search to see what's around that location to determine if it's going to meet my needs. And that one in Porto was perfect. I was like less than a block away from a metro station that it was a hub, so I could get to different places all throughout Porto. And I found out that I made a great selection of my Airbnb in Lisbon, because it wasn't in the center of the city. It was on the side, what they call the last neighborhood of Lisbon. It's called the Belém Ajuda neighborhoods. There are two neighborhoods, Belém and Ajuda. They connect, and they consider those to be the last neighborhoods, where the streets are a little larger. It's not, a lot of city traffic there. There are mom and pop stores there. I would walk downstairs, and there are coffee shops and restaurants all up and down the street. Um, and people knew each other. They waved to one another in the morning. The men would go and get the bread from the bakeries in the morning. You see them carrying the bread in the morning for the family, fresh baked bread. Um, and there are a number of, different types of grocery stores. There's a candle shop. Um, just tremendous, you know, uh, neighborhoods that felt like home, and that's what I wanted to experience. That's what I wanted to experience. So, and that's what I did. In Sintra, when I got to Sintra, the the place that I lived was right below the mountains to the two castles that were tourist castles, and people drive through the street up to the mountain. And if you saw the trailer, that I didn't show that blooper on my trailer, the teaser for this video, but and I'm going to post that blooper video. People take tuk-tuks up to the mountain because um, people don't want to drive, or it's crowded once you get up to the top to see the Moorish castle. And there's another castle, I forget its name. Very colorful places, and there's castles all over the place. So but I lived in Sintra, in the neighborhood, even though it was a touristy place, and they did my laundry for me. Um, yeah, so yeah, that was great. I will say that in Portugal they hang their laundry. Lots of people hang their laundry in Portugal. Um, in certain areas, heavily live neighborhood, there's laundry hanging out on a line, and that's what you see. It may be a turn off to others, but that's their way. That's their custom of doing things. They might have washing machines in their apartments, but they may not have a dryer. There are laundromats there, and I used a laundromat in Lisbon. Yeah, I use a laundromat in Lisbon, but my sheets and linens, towels, um, I took them to a woman across the street who did laundry for the owner of the Airbnb. So I wanted the kind of like the down home feel. How would I feel if I was living here? That's what I wanted to know. And I got my answer. And I got my answer that this would be comfortable for me. Very livable place. Good shopping, good fresh food, good fresh fish. Um, oh, food. If you go to restaurants, um, Lisbon doesn't have like a flavor, I don't think. Um, when I say that, if you go to Mexico, you can have an idea how the food might be flavored. The food in Lisbon or in Portugal tastes fresh. They don't overly season their food. They do have collard greens, and they use collard greens quite often in their meals. From soup to other things, collard greens are there. And I had some, and that was actually one of the tastiest meals. Um, and then they have, what's the codfish dish called? Um, oh, I can't think of but that was good too, and I could eat that anytime. Um, oh, I can't think of the name of it. Katrina, you remember the name? Can you help me out? But it's a dish with potatoes, codfish, sometimes rice, um, and and then with a salad. So bacalhau, thank you, bacalhau. You can find that anywhere in Portugal, bacalhau, and I love it. So I eat it quite often. Um, yeah. I'm trying to think of some of the other questions that I was asked. I've been asked quite a bit about Portugal. How about tipping? It's red, it's not part of the culture. Correct. It is not part of the culture. And when I realized that I should not have tipped someone, was when I was in Lisbon and I went to I believe it was the LX factory. It's a artist type of um, center where there's lots of stores, there's restaurants, and there was a florist there, and I thought, I think I'm going to get some flowers and take back to my apartment. And I and she did a great job of picking the right flowers and everything. I said, just give me a mix. And she did a good job. And so I wanted to leave a tip, and because it was at a stand. And she kind of frowned at me. And she said, no, no, thank you. No, no, thank you. And I felt it was like I had insulted her. So no, it's not a part of the culture. Tipping is not required. Um, and I think it's great when you don't have to tip and that, because they try to do more um, to keep you happy, just because that's their part of their job. Um, what I will say is that they in restaurants you can sit there for almost forever. They will not say, "Are you ready to leave?" or "Do you want the check?" They give you time to eat your food peacefully and enjoy the surroundings or enjoy yourself. It's easy, comfortable. There's no rush. Take your time. It's totally different from the American culture, where they're timing you to get in and get out so that they can make the next dollar. Here you have to say, "I'd like the check, please," and yeah, they will leave you there to sit all day. And you have seen people at cafes, outdoor cafes, sitting for a long time. I mean, it's a cafe culture. That is the cafe culture, that you sit there. It's okay, Katrina. Bacalao is spelled Bacalhau. Thank you, Katrina. I appreciate you. Am I learning Portuguese? I did take a class um, that was offered by a woman. She goes as Cinnamon Spy on Instagram, and she is there living in Portugal, and she met with she had her lessons herself and thought she would share it with other Americans or anyone who was interested in learning Portuguese. And she started a class, and I learned from her, from this woman and a group of women. Um, and it was great that I did. The instructor actually let me know that if you're interested in living here in Portugal, you really need to speak the language and learn it to the best of your ability, so that at least know how it sounds, and so that you won't feel uncomfortable. You can do that. So I learned. It was a 3 or 4 month course, and I have the material still. I am not practicing right now, but I need to start up again. There are not websites, YouTube channels that also offer instruction. Portuguese with Carla is a great um, YouTube channel. She teaches Portuguese. And I just got another um, reference for a Portuguese that I subscribe to lessons also. Um, you have to be careful with the apps for European Portuguese versus Brazilian Portuguese. They, have similar words, but they sound different, pronounce different. The verbs may be different. So if you're using Duolingo for your Portuguese, that is really Brazilian Portuguese that you're learning. Um, I think Babbel has, um, I believe they have European Portuguese. Um, and understanding the diaspora from Portugal is really important. That um, a lot of people were shipped off from Portugal to Brazil, um, and there's a connection with Portugal and Brazil. Also, the African countries that speak Portuguese include Angola. Katrina, you want to help me? Driven Spice. Thank you, Fran. Francine. Driven Spice is the woman who on IG on Instagram who started the Portuguese class. I believe she might be doing it now also if you're interested in getting in that class. But I was saying that Angolans, um, I forget what other African countries speak Portuguese, but there are, I believe, three or four that speak Portuguese. And they may have a different clip or different verbiage, pronunciation. Mozambique, yes, Mozambique and Angola are at least the two that that speak Portuguese. Let's see, and then there are islands off of the coast of Portugal. I'm sorry. One is called Madeira, and they say that it is like the Hawaii of the in the Atlantic. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah, so I there's lots to explore from Portugal, and when I get there, I'll be probably doing my freelance working, but I will be on my time. I plan on working from anywhere when I'm there and when I want to be there. So it's really exciting. So the purpose of this video was to tell you a little bit about Portugal, but also to encourage you to take some time off for yourself, to bop around. If you still need to work, for a year or two, or however long you decide, you want to work, do that. But take some time off. Um, do a sabbatical your way. Create it for yourself. Um, I met so many people um, that are kind of in that headspace where they have this need to get out and get off the hamster wheel, um, for whatever reason. I have mine, but others have theirs, and to de-stress, to feel a lightness about your spirit. um, it's just a good thing. And part of Wellside, my business's mission, is to help women move away from what no longer serves them, whether that be work, whether that be as a a caregiver, um, a role as a caregiver. Teachers, I mentioned to you earlier, are those caregivers. People who are nurses who just need time off, just all of us, really, if you think about it. Just if you're in this society where you are measured by how hard you work, that and like that is a real good thing, how hard you work. Dedication is one thing, but working hard and being strong and not allowing yourself to just breathe easily. I think a reason enough to take time off, take a sabbatical, take a 3, 6 yearly long sabbatical, or even if you could do 3 weeks of vacation, as I did, or solo retreat. I call it whatever I want to call it. Take the time you need. And because it is the end of the year, this was appropriate really because you can start making the plans for yourself. Make the plan if you can. And I want to encourage you. Um, sure, I will mention my business. Thank you for that. Um, and you can go to, there it is. My website is wellsideretreats.care. Um, with respect to planning, I earlier spoke on the practice of journaling, and I want to encourage you, if you don't journal now, that journaling has helped me profoundly over the years. And the use of a journal can be for many uses. It is a utilitarian practice where you can use your journal to unload, to freely form writing, to create, um, to um, to make a plan, put down to dos. It can be used for many things, and I want to encourage you, if you do not journal, or are hesitant to start a journal. Some people are, believe it or not, and you can use this journaling for personal and professional purposes. Um, it's a documentation. I'm offering a core beginning modules called it's an introduction to journaling, and you can find that in the workshops in my on my website. Um, and this is an introduction to get used to journaling. It's 2 weeks. It's $39, and it will be self-paced, but there will be three times that we will meet um, to journal together, as well as to learn more about journaling. And then I'll be doing other modules for journaling. And I hope that you consider that. But to everything that I have written in my journals has come to pass, especially at this season in my life. I started writing about um, what was going on in my family, what was going on with other many family members, things I felt about working. Um, mm, two of the topics are actually I'm in the process of actually creating or writing books about. So that is my go-to notes that I've been taking as I journaled. Um, Gratitude is one of another thing. There are some of you who are listening in right now who I know journal, and you might call them morning pages, um, and and that's a great time to journal in the morning. But there are no rules for journaling, and so I hope that you consider um, joining me for this course. There's a minimum. Uh, if I don't meet the minimum of 5 people, I will at least um, refund your monies, because it would be too much to have 1 or 2 people in a journaling workshop. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. During the pandemic, I was fortunate enough to establish a 2 or 3 workshops um, on journaling, and had a really good book club going, and that is going to be happening too in the next few days. You're going to get information. It will be on the website, as well as anyone who signs up for my email list will get notification of the book club, which will starting in January. At least the book could be read in January, and the book club discussion held in February. So I hope that you have learned something or gained some information on this sabbatical, the review of my sabbatical in Portugal for 3 months, January through March of 2022. I cannot believe that it seemed like yesterday that I took that sabbatical. And I really didn't want to come home. I will say that. I left my new friend Katrina Lilly and a whole bunch of other people who were there who, who I met, and I just, uh, I can't wait to get back. I will say that as a not a seasoned traveler, um, I have found the place that I really like. A lot of people love Italy, and other people, love Spain. I love Portugal, and I can't wait to get back. And I wish that you all are able to um, take the time, as I said before, take that time you need. Um, the people that you love may or may not want you to go off and enjoy, life by yourself. But do something for yourself. I know that it was a benefit, and the people around me are getting used to the fact that this is something that is going to happen one way or the other. Plan A, B, or C. That I'm going to be taking time in a different country, in a different place, and I feel good about it. So take care. Thanks for joining me, sticking in when I was coughing. When I was coughing, you you there with me. So if you're seeing this on repeat, I hope you didn't shut it down when when I started the coughing. I have a unit here that blows out and it gets dusty. And so I've cleaned the filter. It's just warm, hot air that dries everything out. So I'm trying to manage through that. This is my Instagram account, and you can get information there and see photographs of my travels there. Um, and yeah, um, that that is where you can find me also. Um, hey, Katrina Skinner, if you saw the I don't know if she wants me to say that or not, but I had a teaser to this video that was supposed to start at 2 o'clock, but was moved to 12:30. And I've been on here for a while now. I want to say thank you to Katrina Skinner. And yes, I look forward to you visiting me in Portugal also, Katrina. Stay happy and healthy. Also, Grace, I appreciate you all. And we'll be back in January with another live and other videos. If you have not liked and subscribed to my channel, please do so. I would appreciate it. It's part of it's I'm trying to get better at speaking on my videos, um, and I like doing them. So, and I'm also hoping to offer some more practical information for Black women 50 and over who are interested in wellness and self care in various aspects of life, your relationships, your potential divorces or divorced people, um, uh, people who want to care for their bodies, who want to learn how to meditate. Some practical information, not necessarily mindset information, will be headed your way within this coming year, 2023. And so I look forward to being able to speak to you more often and on practical things and practices that you can use to help you get to where you need to be and will better serve you. Take care. Happy New Year. And I will See you in 2023. Bless you. Take care. Bye bye.